Welcome to the Backpacking and Blisters podcast. Welcome, everybody. With me today is my co-host, Ben McAuliffe. What's going on, brother?
Not much. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm excited because we got an expert panel today. This is our first time we've ever done anything like this, so I'm really excited about it. We're talking about backpacking skills. We're covering a variety of topics. So what is the most underrated backpacking skill in your mind?
For me, and it's the one I struggled with, is packing my backpack. I think it's underrated. I think more people need to learn how to do it. We've had a couple guests on that talk about it. Alicia Ford talked about packing like 3 days before the trip, unpacking, packing, repacking. I'm more the type where it's like, oh, I got to go to the trip. That's right. And I just kind of throw everything in. And my method is keep the food on top because I want to get to the food. That's the most important thing. So everything else goes below it.
I want all the food available so I have all choices available.
Yeah, and not the dehydrated food, but the snacks. More.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, it's more the snacks, and then some dehydrated foods because I don't want to have to undo my whole backpack to get to the foods. But
yeah. As somebody who carries a bear canister in his hands for 10 miles, would you describe yourself as somebody who's really good at packing a backpack?
I think I did well. I think I overpack a backpack. I think I need to go back. So my goal for 2025, Carl, you don't know this, but I set a goal that I want to become an ultralighter where my pack is sub 30. So that's my goal for the trip, for the upcoming trips. Sounds
like you're setting like some sort of New Year's resolution in December. Like early December.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting ahead of the game here.
Is it New Year's? I was just going to do it for us. But for the podcast. So I'm going to try to find some tips, advice, and all that. And we'll see if we can get my pack down to below 30.
Fair enough. All right. So we've got, just like I said, a variety of questions all about backpacking skills. We've got an expert panel we'll introduce here momentarily. But after this, I just want to share that I have what I think is the worst interview question of all time that was asked on this podcast. I'm going to share that afterwards. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Not part of this episode, from a previous episode. Terrible.
Okay.
All right.
Was it mine or was it yours? Did you ask it? Or you're not
since I'm the one presenting it, I'm probably picking on you, right?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're like, Ben, you're a way better interviewer than me. I got to take some tips from you. So.
You've had some good questions for sure. I would present my own question, but we'll see whose it is.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to it, though, this episode is brought to you by Lighten Equipment. We have the honor of being their flagship podcast. And if you're looking for ultralight custom quilts that can help you get your base weight down, like Ben says he's going to for 2025, then go to enlightenequipment.com.
Sweet. I'll be there.
Okay. All right. What's our Bible verse for the episode?
Bible verse of the episode comes from Proverbs 12:15. The way of fools seem right to them, but the wise listen to advice. Has there been ever a time, Carl, where you haven't listened to advice and like died on a hill where you're like, this is the way we're doing it and we're going to keep doing it this way? And then later you probably found out like that was not the right thing to do. I should have listened.
I feel like I'm like the combination where I'm trying to listen to advice, but then I end up being foolish. Is that like a...
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. So when we did the Lewitt Trail a couple years ago, we had heard there wasn't a whole lot of water on day 3, so we just like loaded up on water, and we kept on asking people that were hiking the opposite way, nonstop, are you sure there's no water? There's nothing, not even a trickle. And they're like, there's nothing. And finally one person's like, well, if you really pay attention, there's this stream like above you. You can kind of hear it if you're quiet. And I was like, I don't want to take that risk, so we're just going to load up the water. And so, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many streams we crossed. It was like nonstop.
Oh, okay.
And so
weird.
I was just packing.
But everyone was like, load up. Weird.
Yeah.
It's like, the rain just came down.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Do you take advice?
I do at times, but I feel like I know more sometimes, like sometimes you're like,
that.
Yeah.
You have no response to that. You have nothing to say about that.
I know nothing. I'm like, it still got me. My wife would say I do listen to her at times where there's times where I can definitely tell like, all right, she might know more in this situation, but it depends. There's sometimes where we had a time adventure racing and we were orientating, and I had a map and my friend had a map, and we knew how to orientate, and the guy next to us was like, I feel like we need to go this way without even looking at the map or having a compass or anything. He just felt in his soul
that's a real thing. He's not alone in that.
Yeah. And so that's the ones where I'm like, no, I'm not going to listen to you, buddy. Like, there's no way we're walking complete opposite direction of what everything else is telling us.
No, but so, you've probably been there before, but where you're not looking at the map. Maybe somebody else has a map, or you haven't gotten it out yet, and you're like, well, I feel that we're generally going to be going in this direction. I feel like this is the right way. And then you look at the map, you're like, oh no, I'm not even close to correct. Like,
I've not done that where I haven't held a map, but if we're lost in the woods without maps, then maybe I'm like, this is the way. And I've done it with my family, and my son is actually really good at like finding his way in the woods. Okay. And he'll be like, Dad, you're going to wind up 15 miles out of the way going that way. Just trust me and go this way. And I'm like, all right, I'm trusting my son because it's easier than if we get lost. Well, yeah, because then I can be like, see, we're lost, son. Should have never listened to you, but it hasn't happened yet. He's always gotten us home. So it's good.
That's good. I like that. Hopefully, with our panel of experts, we'll have at least one thing, hopefully more than one thing, that's worth taking away. Advice that you should take based on our backpacking skills questions coming up right now. Our first guest is an expert in epic outdoor adventures. Huck Outdoors. How's it going, man?
It is going well tonight.
All right, Huck, what's your favorite trail snack?
My favorite trail snack's got to be anything made by Chalk Zero. It's keto candies. Probably the caramel chew is probably my favorite.
Keto candies. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
All right.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that either. All right. Our next expert guest, led his family of 6 to complete the Triple Crown. Vince Strawbridge. How's it going today, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
All right, Vince, favorite trail snack?
I like powdered milk with powdered peanut butter with Carnation Instant Breakfast Shake.
Okay.
Do you add water to that or just drink it as a powder? Like
I add water. Yeah.
Okay.
Just the powder, just like pouring the powder in.
Yeah, I know, that's what he's like. He just labeled powders and not once did he say milk.
Yeah, I stuff it in the side of my mouth and let it seep into my body the rest of the day.
I didn't realize we had a trail chef on our show too, so this is a bonus.
Oh, that's important. Yeah.
Okay. Our third guest is an expert in gear, taking young kids onto the trail and more. Adam from Dad Camps. How's it going today?
Doing good. Glad to be here.
Glad you're here, man. Favorite trail snack? What you got? Hard to beat the last one, but go for it.
I'm gonna have to go with I'm from Oregon, and so the thing that I like the best is when you find huckleberries on the trail.
Wow.
Okay.
And you get to just pick them fresh while you're on the trail. It's like, it makes me the happiest. You know, it's the happiest trail snack for me.
I'm gonna go 5 points for Adam because that was the most ultralight of the trail snacks, and like not even in your backpack. 0 weight.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you plan your trips around when the huckleberries are ripe?
Exactly. Yeah. So you carry less.
I only backpack when there's berries. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an expert. This is our first time with an expert panel. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. We've got a lot of topics and questions to throw at you. So here we go. We're just going to jump right in here. Huck, you're up first. Many backpackers are out there packing north of 30 pounds. So what is your number one tip to lighten your load?
Get yourself a Sherpa.
That's always my answer.
Simple.
That's my answer.
Simple.
If you can't get yourself a Sherpa, it's cutting back on your clothes. I used to do it. A lot of my friends, I know that when they first started backpacking, do it. And they're bringing out 2 to 3 different shirts or maybe an extra pair of pants. Nobody cares what you're wearing out there. Just bring one change of clothes. You might stink a little after a couple of days, but nobody cares because they're also stinky.
That's what I found out, Huck. We went on a Patreon trip and I wanted to look nice for everybody.
No, you didn't. That's incorrect.
And so, well, I didn't. I just, I brought like 3 shorts, shirts, socks. I didn't change once.
My first trip, when I brought too much clothes, I actually put a bunch of it in the fire and burnt it on the last night so I didn't have to carry it out. So, it helped with the base weight immensely. Yeah.
Been there.
Okay, so you burned your shirt and pants?
The extra shirts than pants that I brought. Because I thought I needed one for every day, and obviously not.
So you missed a chance of just laying your clothes out, like laying them down like someone vanished. Like you should have just had them there.
Oh, there we go.
I think it's gonna be hard to beat that tip, guys. Like burn excess clothes. That's really a better tip.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I got this like backcountry meal that I thought was terrible. I think it was made by ReadyWise, and I burned it in the fire, and I got all sorts of negative feedback by sharing that. I can't imagine what people are going to say about burning your clothes.
Think of all the people that could have used your clothes. All right, moving on.
All right.
So Vince,
Same question. It's going to be a hard one to beat there.
Well, I mean, we're offending people clearly, so I'm going to give you a choice.
Right.
Am I talking to thru hikers or dads? Either one will offend.
If you got one for each, go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's thru hikers, I would say your job is walking, so just walk yourself warm. So only carry as much as keeps you warm at all. So it's a similar one to the clothes.
Okay.
But that puts you at risk from a safety standpoint. But if you're gonna be walking and you've got a decent sleeping bag, you can walk at 40 degrees in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. So
Wait, if you got a decent sleeping bag, like, are you wearing the sleeping bag?
well, if it's that cold, I guess I would. But basically, it's just 3 layers up top and 2 layers down bottom in the worst conditions. As long as you're walking, you can stay warm. So
Okay.
3 layers.
So you're either
Wait.
you're walking or you're sleeping. There's no in between.
walking or sleeping. Yeah, that's right.
Like no cooking, no making like shakes, carnation shakes or anything.
Nope. You got one job. That's the thru hikers. But to the dads is an easier one. That's more clear. Like you just look at your kids right when you're about to go out the door and you say, "Listen to me. If you want it, you can carry it."
That works all the time
That's
for me.
I will not carry your stuff.
I wind up carrying my kid with their stuff,
That's right.
We have different kids, Vince, because like my kids would just stop and just be like, "Yeah, well, I said I would carry it, but now I don't want to go any farther." And
We were getting ready to hike our first trail on the Pacific Crest Trail, and my daughter, I'm going through her pack at the start. Guy's about to drive away in the van. Reach into her pack, and she's got 3 paperback books in there to through hike a trail. And I said, "June, what are you doing?"
yeah.
"Well, they weren't on our Kindle account, Dad." "Wait, you have your Kindle and 3 books?"
One of the books is like how to through hike for dummies, so she can like just kind of like learn how on the trail.
Burn Your Clothes was the first time.
Yeah. That's a revised version. and then when you're like day 45, the last one's like burn this book because you don't need to carry it anymore.
yeah, you can burn the books as you go. There you go. You got some Tinder there. Okay, Adam, what you got? Ultralight tip.
Yeah, my initial thought was similar to Huck and Vince, where it was just have more kids and make them carry more stuff. But
More kids.
I think that's been debunked. So, yeah, my tip, I have a good rule of thumb that I always say is if you would carry it in your hand, would you carry it in your hand the whole time you're hiking? Would you still want it? Would you still be happy that you had it if you were carrying it in your hand?
I have not heard that one. I have not heard that.
Well, new people to backpacking, the problem is they're overpacking, right? They're bringing too many things. They're packing their fears, all that
Right.
stuff, right? But if you use that train of thought and think, okay, would I still be happy if I had to carry this in my hand for the whole hike? Would I still want to be carrying it, right? And it makes sense. If you think about that, like if you had to carry your
Yeah.
sleeping bag in your hand, you would still want your sleeping bag, right? And you can like take that all the way down to even the smallest little items, right?
Yeah. What about bear canister where you don't want to carry it, but you carry it in your hands anyway for 10 miles? Is that appropriate?
I mean, that's a regulation thing, right? So you wouldn't want to, but you have to.
Ben did this in the last trip. He literally packed out his pack and then forgot to put the bear canister in or forgot to account for it. And then he carried it in his hand for 10 miles. That was...
But you still wanted the food, right? Like you're still happy you had the food, right?
No, it's empty. Empty bear
It
canister.
was empty because I didn't want to unpack my pack. I thought about leaving it, making it was Carl's. Carl showed up and was like, "I got your bear canister," and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about that." So I thought about just leaving it, and then he'd have to carry it, but I put it in my backpack on the way out.
All right. Excellent. This is a good start. Ben, what you got?
All right, Vince, how would you tell a newbie to pack their backpack?
Do I like them?
Let's say yes. Let's say if you don't like them, they're going to complain the whole trip about how awful their backpack is.
All right. Well, I think what I would say is you'll be tempted to want to know where everything is, and you got all those pretty stuff sacks that came with everything. Forget that. Just stuff it in clean. Separate out a few things into different categories, but for the most part, you're just stuffing it straight in.
I was thinking about this on the drive today. Is what do you pack first usually?
Oh, what I go in first? If you're looking for
Yeah.
my system, I take my food bag and my clothes bag, stuff them side by side, and then I fit part of my sleeping bag in, then stuff in all the hard stuff, and then fold the sleeping bag down over the top of it.
Your food bag is the hardest one to
Okay.
access out of everything while you're hiking?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I carry
That's what I was
snacks and I carry stuff like that but I cold soak. So I carry everything in a cold soak jar loose in the back pocket. So it's accessible all day.
That makes sense, Carl, because if you think about it, he doesn't want to stop to eat because he's through hiking. So he's like, oh, if I stop, it's going to take forever because I got to get to my food and it's going to take 20 minutes to get my pack unpacked. So I might as well just keep hiking.
Well, if you ever came on our family when we're having lunch, we look like the Clampetts. I mean, it is just the backpacks explode, everything's all spread out.
But you, I mean, I know like you're a professional thru hiker, but there's got to be some thru hikers that like good food. They don't want to cold soak. Is that accurate?
Well, yeah, my wife and kids are like
Okay.
that, yeah. And we cook at lunch though, so the way our day accommodates for that. So we'd start before light, right half hour before light, start getting up, packing, and walking,
Okay.
and then we take like a 2 or 3 hour lunch somewhere.
2 or 3 hours.
Anyway,
Okay, that's committed right there.
Oh yeah. So we walk probably till about noon, and then 2 or 3 o'clock start walking again until
Okay.
dark.
Wow.
So lunch, you got plenty of time to get in your backpack and pack it all back
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
I'm just picturing like a picnic setting now where you got like tents and people like are fanning you and you're just like sprawled out like
Yeah.
like the Egyptian princes we see in the movies in the desert. They like have this big like camels are there, Does that
Camels?
is that close to what happens? Yeah.
Ben's telling stories in his head right now, trying to apply it to your answer. I don't know what's going on. But your lunchtime sounds like a short break for Ben. Is that accurate, Ben?
A short break. Yeah, 2 to 3 hours is just not enough. I try to do a 4 to 5 hour break,
Right,
and then
right.
hike for maybe 20 minutes
Yeah.
more to camp. So
And then maybe continue on afterwards. Maybe not. Maybe just stay there.
yeah.
Okay.
What do you got?
Aside
Adam?
from hiding your food and cold soaking, do you have any packing tips?
I think one of my biggest pet peeves is seeing things strapped on the outside of people's packs, just like dangling. And I'm
Yes.
constantly,
Like with carabiners.
yeah, and like Crocs flopping around on the back of the pack. Like, I don't know. Is that any of you guys?
No, that's my biggest pet peeve is like watching stuff flap around and make noise. It's like we're not hobbits here, It's not like watching Sam I Am like hiking with his frying pan.
Wait. Huck, is that you? You nodded your head when he asked if it was any of you guys.
No, not me. That's one of my
Okay.
pet peeves, though.
Is it? Okay. All right. So where should I put all of my Crocs, Adam?
Well, also don't bring Crocs. But
All of my Crocs.
And then do you store all your carabiners like inside your pockets, or how do you dangle those?
don't bring carabiners. Yeah.
So you're saying basically anything that you would attach to the outside, should you put that on the inside, or just don't bring it all?
Yeah, if it doesn't fit in your pack, you probably don't need it.
If it doesn't fit, you don't need it.
Well, there's pouches on the outside and there's
Right.
pockets you can get into in most packs, like stuff like you need to get to first aid or whatever. You could have that on the outside.
So there's nothing quick access.
Yeah. You just can't tie it on with a piece of string.
All right. No danglers, no pack ornaments is what we call them. All right.
Just for the record, that's 5 people totally agreed about your one tip, Adam, of nothing dangling. So.
All right. And Huck, what's your tip?
From all the people I'd backpack with, I could backpack with 5 different people. They're packing their pack like 5 different ways. But the one thing the majority of us all do on the outside mesh is all your quick access items, like your first aid kit, your poop kit, especially your poop kit. You want to make sure you can get to that quick. Maps and your filtration. So that right there, and a few snacks too, and some hand sanitizer if you're going for that poop kit.
Is your filtration next to your poop kit? Those like side by side there?
Two different bags.
Okay.
2 different bags.
I noticed Vince didn't have a poop kit on when he was telling us how to pack. So
That's a luxury item.
Okay. Do you guys have like emergency bathroom times while you're backpacking?
There's been a couple, depending on what backpacking meal I have.
I'm trying to think of like emergency. emergency bathroom stops while backpacking. I don't know if I've had one before.
Yeah, I think you have. I think you call that as emergency, Carl, because you wait till everyone's gone because everyone wants to follow you
it's
everywhere,
planned.
and you're like, guys, keep walking.
Keep walking for miles ahead. Yeah, for sure. No, it makes sense for sure. I'm just trying to think of if I've had that. I mean, when you had 20, 30 years of backpacking and it hasn't happened, like, is that at what point do you say, okay, we can calm down about this?
Yeah, but I mean, if it happens, you want to have access to it. So
You have good water filtration. That's your secret.
Also, just safe food, I suppose, too. But
There you go.
okay, all right.
But now it goes to another question for me of like, what if you only have one pair of clothes you brought? And now you have the emergency.
Okay, that's pretty funny. All right, next question. All right, this one I'm excited about because I feel like I've shared my tips over the years, and I'm just ready to hear some new ones here about bringing kids. So, what's your best tip for bringing kids of really any age with you, whether it's young kids, teenagers, whatever? All right, so Adam, you're up. Starting with you.
So bringing kids, I would say best tip is to, it depends on the age of where you're at, but even if they're new to it and they're older, go small. Don't think big miles, don't think like epic adventure is like whatever your norm is, like don't think like bring them along on like whatever epic adventure you want to go on. Like aim for a positive experience. That's like the biggest key, especially when they're getting started. But even especially with small kids, even just a 1 mile, hike or less even can feel like an epic adventure to them, right? That they're just like off in the woods somewhere and they don't really have a grasp of how far you are or whatever, right? And it's just about, having fun, and it doesn't have to be to this amazing, perfect place or anything like that. But so yeah, aim for a positive experience, and like, it can actually, like my son, he calls it hike camping, which I think is great. Like it makes it kind of fun, right? Like backpacking can kind of sound arduous and like work, and to him, it's like he wants to go hike camping, so he just rolled with it, and I think it can actually make hiking easier if they like, have a destination of like, we're going to go camping after our hike, right?
So you gotta like package it.
Nice.
So we could change backpacking into like fun walking instead. And then we're going to just get a fun walk for 25 miles today, and it's going to be fun the entire time, right? Is that?
Yeah, just got to spin it. Yeah.
Have you noticed that the kids will walk more at amusement parks than actual hiking, and they don't complain? Like,
Yeah.
That's like,
You're saying those are similar experiences, Ben? Amusement parks and backpack.
No, they're different. Like they'll hike like 15 miles at the amusement parks, and then just walk like 5 miles hiking and complain for 5 miles.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's all up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Never.
What's the takeaway in that one? What's the lesson learned from that?
Oh, have them wear backpacks at amusement parks.
Well, I thought you were gonna say tell them that there's like a roller coaster around the corner on the trail or something.
Oh no, I don't lie to the kids, but
that's why I was trying to connect the dots there. And just to clarify, Adam, so you're saying don't take kids like on the Triple Crown, like on 10,000 miles. Don't like that's too much.
I mean, don't start there.
Don't start
right?
there. Okay. Yeah.
Build up a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe
after the first 2 miles, are we there yet? Nope.
right. Almost.
You're a fraction of the way there. I mean, it's not a nice fraction, but it's a real fraction.
It's a real fraction. Okay. Huck, I don't know. I'll be honest, man. I don't know your experience with taking kids on the trail. Have you had much in that area?
I don't have any kids, but I've had friends that do. And one thing I always try to tell them, especially some people just never really brought their kids out, is find some place that's got something to see at the end of the trail.
Okay.
So out by us, SoCal, we've got Joshua Tree National Park. So you could do the Boy Scout Trail. It's super easy, and there's big rocks that the kids get to run around on and explore. Or another one over this way has a cabin towards the end. It's only like 2 miles to the cabin. The kids have a cabin they get to go and explore in. That way they're not bored.
Yeah. So activity like a lake, jump in the lake,
Yeah.
jump off rocks and like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. All right, Vince, man, you got the most experience, especially with teenagers. Like getting teenagers on the same page. Like kudos to you. So what's your tip?
Well, I mean, I guess I'd approach it again 2 different ways. The first would be like if I'm just backpacking, it would have everything to do with hitting the ice cream shop on the way home. You know, because you just count on that being the memory.
Do you incentivize them? Like, do they have to make it, or do they have to earn it with certain miles, or how do they get the ice cream?
Like it's totally unrelated. The whole trip is going to be terrible no matter what you do. Like, you know, there'll be elements of terrible, but as long as you hit the ice cream shop on the way home, it'll be the thing that's locked in there. You know, they'll be like, I love hiking. I got ice cream. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Let's go hiking again. So you might work that hard. You could let it be terrible, the terrible that it is. But I mean, shoot, on the long hike, that's a whole different story. There's not really any way you can make parts of that anything but miserable, you know?
Okay. I mean, it couldn't have been miserable the whole time. They kept on going.
Well, they did, but I would look at her like, you know, we called it cry 30, like after the first couple of days. Like my daughter, she's so sweet. She was 11 and we had to walk, I don't know how many miles a day we were walking early. It wasn't bad. It was further than we should have been going. It was a long way. And she was crying one day and I said, listen, sweetheart, you can cry, but you're going to have to walk and cry. Like, cause we got to get going. We got to get there. So
That's the tough love right there, right?
it's tough love. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, it was for our own good. I mean, we really were out there and needed to get where we were going.
Okay.
So
Does that work on adults? Is if they're crying, just tell them to walk and cry?
it worked on me. My wife would have to tell me that from time to time. It's okay. I mean, you can cry, but you just have to walk and cry. Okay, Monica.
Gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
You'll be by yourself crying.
I'm going to apply that to future Patreon trips. If somebody starts crying, just be like, it's fine. Just keep on going. Keep on crying. I'm learning so much from this, from the 3 experts here.
I use the ice cream shop too, though, as an incentive. I think it's a great incentive, you know, hiking or backpacking or whatever with kids, just to have that reward at the end. It really keeps them motivated to, you know, finish the hike.
I had this genius idea of actually bringing ice cream with me. They had this, like, I think it was a clean canteen that had this container that was supposed to keep things cold for like 3 days. And so we opened up the canteen. It was, I don't know, it was like 5 pounds. And on day 2, I was like, there's got to be good ice cream in here. And it was all melted and it was kind of sad. So yeah, I tried to get the best of both worlds. Like, it just didn't work. Anyway, so that's a failed tip right there. Sorry. Let's see. Huck's up.
What's the most important plant that you should be able to identify?
SoCal, poison oak. Definitely. There's
There
so
we go.
much of it. Yeah.
That I still can't
I
identify.
have problems too. Like, is that a berry bush or what is it? But yeah, leaves are 3, no thorns on the stems. Usually is a pretty good indicator. But there's so much of it on trails in Southern California that's the one down here you really have to look out for.
And it's tough during the winter
yeah.
because there's no leaves on it. And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
still contagious.
Oh yeah, no, there's one recently where we went backpacking and sure enough, there's just stems, and vines coming down and yeah, just the roots, everything. And yep, one of my buddies brushed up on it. Luckily, it wasn't me. But a week later, his arms got all these blisters on it.
Ben, have you heard of poison oak before?
I've heard of it. I haven't been able to identify, as I said, because I get it from like May until September. It's on me all the time. So eventually,
rolls around in it.
yeah,
It's really
I'm
hard.
highly contagious, so allergic
Yeah.
to it. So yeah, it's fun.
That was my answer too. So I'll just jump in and say like, yeah, I can just look at it and I get it. And I'm like deathly allergic to it. Like I have to get like, you know, steroids and stuff to get rid of it. Like I could go with having it for months, you know, I would die. But yeah, so I'm constantly trying to identify it
Okay.
and
Yeah.
avoid it and at all costs. Right. And for me, what helps to identify it is like, yeah, you know, you kind of know the basic shapes and kind of know it in your mind, you know. But if I'm going into an area, which in Oregon we have a lot of it, poison ivy, poison oak. But if before a trip, I'll look at pictures of it just to like cement it in my mind. Actually, like looking it up, so I'm like it's fresh in my head. And so it helps to identify it.
What I found part of the problem is that people also go off trail to go to the bathroom and do other things. And they come back and I'll rub up against their gear or like get something out of their backpack. And then I got it because they were the ones that were like off trail doing
Yeah.
things. So
That's happened to me too. Yeah.
yeah. I've tried using the Poison X where like you put it on before and that seemed to work for me.
Why are you rubbing up against people's gear though? That's kind of weird, man.
Well, like we had one adventure race where the person's like, your teammate's standing in poison ivy. We told them not to go up there, and she's just standing in it. Her bag's just all exposed. And then 5 minutes later, she's like, "Hey Ben, can you hold my backpack? I need to go to the bathroom." I'm like, well, okay, like
just say no. Just be like,
Okay.
yeah, say too bad. I don't want to rub around.
I just said put it down. Yeah.
All right, Vince, do you have a non-poison oak, poison ivy answer?
Yeah, I was not going to go with the poison ivy answer because that would tie into our earlier conversation about the poop kit.
Okay.
I don't really want to tell that story. Like I'm getting the shakes thinking about it. So, no, mine would be a positive. Mine would be the ramps. Identifying ramps in Virginia. It's a great edible plant, and it was fun to cook into our food at lunch. So.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was like certain berries.
Yeah,
berries are food identification kind of thing.
Ramps and chives, I think were my favorite.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily important to, like you're to be able to identify edibles, right? But it does make it better, right? And if you can, and you feel comfortable and confident,
yeah, for sure,
right? Like I feel confident in identifying berries here in Oregon, and like I've backpacked with buddies.
Well, there's only two, huckleberries and blackberries.
Oh no, you got thimble, you got a lot. Don't you?
No, there's blueberries and marionberries, like a bunch of different berries. But actually, some are poisonous. But it's rare. But they look very different anyway. But like, if you feel confident in the ones that'll taste good, like I've gone backpacking with some buddies, and I would just eat them, and they were like not confident, at all that like I knew what I was doing, right? It's like they wouldn't enjoy it, right? And then after a time, once they realized, like, okay, he's not getting sick, or it's, he knows what he's doing. then they start trying it too, and they're like, man, this is awesome. Like this is so cool. So it does improve it, right?
Okay, so I think I use maybe our methods are similar, Adam, because I just will grab a berry off a bush and I'll just start chewing on it. And if it tastes good, I just eat it. And if it tastes like poison, I just spit it out. Is that the way to do that? I literally do that, and I've never had a problem.
Well, I've never actually tasted ones that are poisonous, so I couldn't tell you if it tasted good or not.
Oh, just like the little red berries. I think I tried this as a kid. There's like little small. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, the white and the green are bad.
If it's red, it's safe. I think that's the general rule. Just eat
red leaves, all that stuff.
Anything red, just eat it. Yeah.
I just slowly eat them and just build up immunity. That's what I think,
I'll be honest though, like I'm super allergic to poison oak as well, but it grows, I think it's like 4,500 feet or below. And so if you're hitting the mountains, I haven't noticed the poison ivy to be as prevalent, at least in the western mountains, as poison oak is in the lower elevations. And so once I moved to Colorado, I really haven't had a problem with that.
There we go.
Have you guys had a lot of problems in higher elevations with poison ivy?
Not in higher elevations, no.
No?
Like in Oregon, there's all different kinds of areas where you're going up and down into valleys, right? And that's usually where you find it, like down by the water and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, your Oregon better than I do.
But yeah, like backpacking in like Glacier or like Montana or something, like you're like alpine the whole time or something. Yeah, you don't have a problem with it. Yeah.
Yeah, up in the Sierra, you hardly ever see it.
Speaking of getting attacked by plants, let's talk about some animal attacks here. So Vince, you're up. What is your best tip for what you would do if you were to get attacked by a bear? Any kind of bear.
So we're assuming the attack is ongoing?
I could tell a story. I could make it like I could have...
Like I have been attacked. I read that question different. I was thinking like just take people with you because they don't attack big groups. But then now that I'm being attacked, I'm a little nervous because I don't think I'll do the right thing. I did run into one in Canada one time, pretty big one, and it was walking toward me. And for about 10 steps, I did everything right. Hey, bear, backing up real slow, doing all the right stuff. And after about 10 steps, I looked at the guy that was with me and I thought, I'm a little faster than that guy. I think I'm going to walk fast and get him between me and the bear.
Wait, who's the guy? Is this your kid, your teenager?
That's another guy. It's another guy. He used to hike with me. He doesn't hike with me anymore.
Yeah, and after that. Okay, so I mean that's like the age-old, like, I got to run faster than the person I'm with.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You didn't really run, but you actually applied that.
Yeah, I have a video of it. It's embarrassing. I don't like to watch it. I'm getting out of here.
Okay.
I'm getting out of here. That's what I said as I walk by him. As he's,
Oh.
he's filming the bear and I walk past him to get away.
Well, I would stand in front of you and shield you from the bear, and Yeah.
until the bear's charging, and then he would just kind of be like, "All right,
Thank
take
you.
them."
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had folks on who've been attacked by bears or have had them charge. There's, So I'm curious what you would do. So you're saying if one's threatening, you're gonna back away and say hey bear, and kind of slowly move away. All right.
I did it. Yeah, I did the right things for 10 steps. Didn't seem to be working, and then I just used the guy that was there. So I think I'd do that again, honestly.
Well, you're in Canada. Did you have bear spray?
Yeah, I'd take the bear spray with me. See, I'd start this. It was back at the car. I forgot it.
It was back at the car.
I just forgot to take it.
I thought you were gonna say that the bear spray was like next to your food in the bottom of your pack. So you're just like.
No, listen to this. This is unbelievable. On the Continental Divide Trail, my wife is always nervous. She carries bear spray all the time. If we're like in wherever, it doesn't matter. She likes the bear spray. So we started the Continental Divide Trail, and we were doing the first 400 miles, and that's all grizzly country, So we were doing but we were going north to start that trail to flip back down. Well, on the way up, we're coming into the Bob Marshall Wilderness, which is where they take those problem bears from Glacier and drop them.
Okay.
And we were walking into the Bob Marshall, and by the time we got there, we'd started down in Anaconda, and we're walking north toward it. By the time we got there, we started with 8 cans of bear spray between us. There were 7 of us.
Okay.
We had a friend along. And by the time we got there, we had 1.
Because you burned them in the fire?
Because we never used it. We'd never carried them before. So we would all like unclip. The best one was we were crossing a water crossing. You going across a log, and I looked at my wife and I was like, "Hey, whoa, don't go across. That's moving water, and it's a log jam. You got to unclip your belt in case you fall in." So she unclips it, and bam, there goes the last of our.
Oh wow.
The last of our cans of bear spray. But we lost them that way.
Okay.
There are 8 cans of bear spray if anybody needs them in the Bob Marshall Wilderness waiting for you. They're just like strategically placed
next to the shore.
We're a part of somebody's miracle story.
That's true. Yeah, a critical part. That's amazing.
There'll be a story that comes out like, I was being attacked by a bear, and I looked, and there's a bear spray can right next to me.
Yeah,
Adam, you got a bear. The claws are like combing your thick beard there. Like, what you doing?
Well, yeah, you're not. You're probably intentionally being vague. You're not specifying. Are we talking black or brown bear?
I was vague. You're
Doesn't
right.
matter.
Yeah, I was just curious the story that would come out, and we got to give one out of Vince. So I'm just curious what you'll do.
Well, like most of the time, I'm thinking about black bears. We don't have grizzlies in Oregon. And so with black bears, you want to be big and loud. You want to try to scare them off. If they're actually attacking you, you actually want to fight back. And like, I don't know, what I think of is like, I always think that I would be confident enough to like scare a bear off, because we have a small little ranch here, and we raise cattle. And so to me, it's kind of similar, because sometimes they can charge. They're just steers, and sometimes they get angry or, whatever. They think you have food or something, and they'll start charging you. And you have to do the same thing. You have to just scare them off. You have to be bigger than them, and, then they'll back down, right? So, but 1,000-pound animal charging at you, and you got to go back and scare them off somehow, or throw something at them or whatever. So but to me, I think of that as like, bear practice for scaring off bears when I'm trying to scare the cattle off.
So you practice with the cattle, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. I like that story. That's a good one too. All right, Huck, what you doing? You got the bears on you.
Put them in a sleeper hole.
Yes. Now we're talking. Okay.
No, there's actually a funny Instagram guy that goes around. He talks about all the time what you do if a bear attacks. Point up to the sky, the bear looks up, you give him a low blow, uppercut, stuff like that. It's a pretty interesting channel. You have to look for it.
Wait,
but
if you point to the sky, the bear will look up? Like, really?
No.
Very similar.
No, if a bear's attacked me, I'm going to be screaming bloody murder and asking for somebody to help.
Yeah.
But beforehand, though, you just make sure you got a hiking buddy like Vince had that hikes a little bit slower, and maybe throw that hiking stick, and trip him up a little bit. Sacrifice your friend.
Trip up? So not the bear, trip up your friend.
Yes.
Use your trekking pole to trip your friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was kidding, but yeah, in the wilderness.
Yeah, anything can happen, right? Anything.
Yeah. No, but yeah.
It works on cattle though, right, Adam?
Down here in Southern California, we don't have the brown bears. We just got the black bears there. more afraid of us than we are of them. And, the times I have seen them, they take off running the other way.
I don't know, man. I feel like I'd be the most aggressive out of everybody. Like I'm spraying the thing with the bear spray in the face, up close. I'm hitting its nose. I'm hitting it in the eye. I want it to be punished. And if it's going to win, it's going to come away hurt at least. So that's my thought.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not the expert. I shouldn't have answered. Sorry.
So Adam, somebody complains of being too tired and they're slowing the group down. How do you handle that? And it doesn't have to be tired. It could just be like pack weight, whatever. But like, how do you handle?
No, you're wrecking the question, Ben. What's the question?
No, I don't like that question.
That's what they prepared for.
Oh my gosh. Okay. How do you handle being someone complaining because they're tired, Adam? But if you want to answer,
ask it with a better attitude. That's not a very nice attitude. Oh my gosh. It's like a pouty question here.
I know. Well, because I like complainers. Like, how do you handle complainers? But someone's complaining they're too tired, Adam. How do you handle that? And they're slowing you down.
I think that the answer to that starts before the trip, and you don't invite that person on the trip.
Well, but how do you know? Like, how do you know if they're complaining? Like,
well, no, I mean, I'm joking, but I'm kind of serious. Like, there has to be some level of like expectation of like what kind of trip you're planning and who's coming with you on the trip. So you have to know somewhat like what their skill level is, and if they're going to be able to hack it, right? And are they a new backpacker, then probably don't bring them on a 6-day trip in Montana or something, right? Like, start smaller, do an overnight or something. Because like, yeah, I don't think I've never been a big fan of like separating, because someone's slower or, like leaving them behind, catch up later or whatever. Because everybody's going to get frustrated by that, and it can get dangerous if you're separated, but like, yeah, like I have some buddies, we all backpack regularly, and we have a friend who is, a common friend between all of us. So we were like, let's see if he wants to come with us on a trip, and we invited him. He was all stoked. He was like, yeah, I'm all in. That's awesome. And I told him about the trip that we were planning, because we already had this, trip in Glacier planned. And then I started talking to him and like, actually prepping for the trip. And it became obvious, like we were not anywhere close to the same level from like experience and fitness wise. And it was like, this is not going to go well, so like, it's going to become a problem. So we politely disinvite them from the trip. It's like,
how do you politely uninvite somebody? I want to learn from you right now.
We suggested, let's plan a different trip to go on with you instead of this one. And
okay.
He was like stoked to be let off the hook, right? Like,
because he understood. Okay,
he realized he was in over his head too, right? And so it was like, okay, let's get something more your size, right? And
so the thought of like buying him a gym pass, so maybe like he starts working out and getting in shape, never occurred, or
something like that, like prep for it, But
that's very passive aggressive, Ben. That's not. Yeah, that's not appropriate.
Yeah,
right there.
It's a Midwestern. Yeah. Well, I was thinking kids. Like, what if he brings up like, yeah, so I had to leave a couple kids on the trail because they were just complaining, they're tired. It's like, well, yeah,
they're a whole different thing, right? Like, yeah. That's a different question if it's kids.
Yeah, it's not kids. This is adults that are complaining. Yeah, you're right. Kids is a totally different thing.
You can still tell them to walk and cry.
Complain out of earshot and keep on walking.
Yeah.
All right. Is that your answer, Huck?
It should be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What's your real answer?
The first time, it's like, okay, I just check it off, I'll still be. But if they do it the second time, usually we're not inviting them back on another trip. We've got a good group of people that we hike with, that we backpack with, that all are about the same pace. So that way we really don't have somebody that's too fast or too slow. And we all enjoy it that way. You just try to find people that are all the same pace as you. There's been trips where we got a couple guys that go super fast and they meet us in camp that night. But, they are mad that we're going slower, and we're not mad they're going faster.
So how do you determine, though, that like you guys are all the same pace? Do you guys like do a practice run? And
no, it's just been over the years doing many backpacking trips. Yeah. Like the two that I usually backpack with the most, we know what we're going to get into, and we know that, 10-mile day. Okay, perfect. We're going to get up early, whatever. And we got to go over that pass. Yeah. You got to wake up early. Hey, we're only going 3 miles to the lake. Perfect. We'll sleep in.
Yeah. And people listen to you. They say, we got to get up early. I will get up early. They don't sleep in defiance.
That was my follow-up.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So scenario, let's say last day, we're leaving. We tell everyone like, hey, we want to be on the trail at 9 a.m. And people are literally just getting out of their sleeping bags at 9 a.m.
Just make sure they know that there's an in and out waiting for them at the end of the trail. That'll get them going.
And ice cream. And ice cream. That's right. So Vince, what's any thoughts, any wisdom from your end about complainers?
This is actually, I think this is the most complicated question of all of them, like, because
Really?
there's so many variables. Yeah. And the most significant is probably, what's the scenario? You're talking about a critical situation. I mean, like I said, how do I tell this in a way that, I like to protect the innocent, but in a freezing rain, if somebody has enough body mass to stop and boil water to get themselves a little bit warm, but you got somebody that's, doesn't really have the capacity to do that and they got to keep walking, I would say, shut that stove down and get moving. Like you're being selfish. Like, you got to keep moving to keep these people safe. But in another scenario where they're just slow, I'd be like, look, if you can make it to camp, I don't care if you make it at 10 o'clock at night. Well, like you can keep going. Typically they have pretty decent mapping on their phones now. If we're not off the beaten track, then I'm not that worried about it. I'll just say, see you at camp tonight, or, see you at the car tomorrow. I don't know.
Okay.
Whichever.
Just kind of put some distance.
Yeah. If they're coming, they ought to be self-contained enough to be able to make it, I would think. Depends on the scenario, I guess. That's why I mean it's complicated. I don't like it really. This is it depends on what trail, it depends on how cold it is, depends on, all sorts of conditions. This is a tough one, honestly. No, with my family it's different. Yeah, my family is different. I just drop to the back and walk with whoever is the slowest and say we'll see you at camp.
Right.
So
okay.
My daughter's in the kitchen behind me over here laughing because she knows she was the one that I was with the most in scenario.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, it sounds like me and Carl are gonna be alone. Like, we'll be together, and Vince will be like, "I'll meet you guys ahead at camp. You guys," but he'll stay with us, Carl. We're the slower hikers. He'll stay with us.
No, I'll drop back. Yeah. Whoever's the slowest, that's who I usually walk with. That's how I discovered that I'm actually the slowest in the family. I didn't know it until I went walking with my youngest daughter recently, and I was like, I cannot keep up with her. She's killing me.
The tables have turned. That's awesome.
That's right. It's
That's
terrible.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm the same way. I don't know. I don't typically like take off. I'm typically trying to find the slowest person or the person that needs the most encouragement. But if it's a complainer, yeah, I try to create some distance as well. So I'm with you guys in that one. All right. So we always save our last question to give everybody the opportunity to just tell us what you got going on with your content creation, YouTube, just whatever you have that you'd like to share about. So Adam, I think you're next up. So what you got?
Yeah, got a YouTube channel called Dad Camps, and just talk about getting outdoors with my kids and all the gear that goes along with it, and mostly focused around backpacking, but also camping in general and outdoor activities.
And you've had some videos blow up recently, right? Like, you were trying to convince people not to take a headlamp, and there's an alternative there.
That one really blew up. Yeah. Shocker, yeah.
Yeah, you're on the move, man. You're growing, and yeah, things are happening. So check out Dad Camps.
People wanted to carry headlamps?
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Oh,
yeah.
that's so weird.
Yeah.
Wait, Vince, do you not?
They got like a little pin light. No, a little pin light.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what the video was about.
I'm with you, Adam.
Huck Outdoors. What's going on with your channel? What you got coming up?
Yeah, Huck Outdoors on YouTube, Instagram, not to be confused with huckoutdoors.net or something like that, which is actually a clothing company.
Okay.
Not affiliated with me at all. They came in after the
Gotcha.
fact. But channel's all about hiking and backpacking, fishing. Love to do a lot of fishing trips with my backpacking. And got a couple trips coming up. Actually doing a subscriber meetup. So anybody in Southern California wants to meet up, we're going to do subscriber meetup in January. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Strangers that you've never met, you're going to meet them and hang out with them.
We've actually done it a couple times. It actually worked out really well.
I mean, you've got a positive channel, so I imagine people that are watching your stuff are probably pretty positive, nice folks, right?
Surprisingly.
Is it ironic that you burn your clothes and then there's a Huck Outdoors clothing company? That seems...
Oh, man.
Is there a connection there?
Actually, they might.
They sell holy clothes, holy, like, frayed, burned.
I was thinking about selling the .com. I make some money off that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Vince, you have a big release. Tell us all about it, please.
I wrote a book about our first hike. I'm going to hold it up for you right there. Pretty good at walking. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love the title.
That's the book. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a deep double meaning to that. No, if you open this book and you thought, I'm going to learn about backpacking with a family, you probably would be disappointed. It's more about doing a big adventure and being a family, in the way of that. So it is certainly an account of our PCT hike, but it's more about how to be a family in that kind of environment. It's not instructive. It's really just narrative, but I really just told the story and found a lot of really good things in it. In fact, if you'll indulge me, the reason that I called it Pretty Good at Walking is there's a guy that was doing a yo-yo that year, started in Mexico, walked to Canada, and then returned to Mexico. And he was leapfrogging with us at the bottom because he kept getting off trail to go to concerts and, see families and stuff. And he was so much faster than us. He'd catch up to us again and we'd hang out a little bit. It was great.
That's amazing.
But we sat down with him at a water cache one day and he said, man, your kids are going to get so much out of this. And I said, yeah, no, it's true, but you're going to get it twice. And he said, yeah, you can't believe it. Every time I go to one of these weddings or concerts, people say, hey, what are you learning out there? And I was an idiot. I tried to tell them. I tried to, I'd start talking, but I can't wrap my head around it and they can't understand it anyway. So finally I just started saying, well, I've learned I'm pretty good at walking. So, so I tell that story in the book, and that's the whole reason I named the book Pretty Good at Walking.
See, but you've made that comment, like your family, you're doing an adventure with a family. I forget how you phrase it. Gets in the way, or it's like part of the obstacle.
No. Just kind of you're just doing family in the way of a big adventure.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And they do get in the way, honestly. Like children, like, and that's what I mean. Everybody is trying to do family in this life is trying to do a big adventure, and the kids are a hassle. So how do you make a part of the adventure and actually make them the adventure?
Right.
Nice.
And where can we find Pretty Good at Walking? Where is this? Is this on Amazon?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. Amazon, Kindle. It's on there. It's Kindle and a book. And if you want to, our Instagram is Strawbridge Trek.
We'll have links for all the things that everybody just mentioned there in our show description, so you can check these guys out, buy the books, follow them on YouTube. Gentlemen, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for enlightening us with your tips and having a good sense of humor about all this that we talked about. Really appreciate it.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Man, we covered a lot of ground there. So, takeaways, like where do we begin with all the stuff that we talked about?
Yeah. So that was my first time meeting these guys.
Right.
Have you met them before?
Okay, so I've like emailed Huck before, and then I'm part of this like Christian YouTubers group with Vince Strawbridge, but I've actually in person met Adam before. So I don't know how far down this rabbit hole we want to go, but basically Derek and our good buddy Rocky, who we'll hear from later on in the show, they decided to get married one day apart. Derek got married in Oklahoma. Rocky got married in California. So I was in both weddings. I went to Derek's wedding, was in it, flew to California, and I was in Rocky's wedding.
Oh my gosh.
And so was Adam. Adam from Dad Camps. Yeah. Why do you ask?
Well, because when we were talking off air, he seemed to not have had the idea he met you before.
He didn't remember
He didn't know you at all.
Yeah. We spent like a whole day together and we chatted quite a bit. And I remember his wife felt bad for me because I strangely didn't know a lot of people in Rocky's wedding. And so she was very friendly. But yeah, I think this speaks more to, my lack of memorability. Like nobody remembers them meeting me.
Yeah, you gotta be more memorable. You gotta start like telling jokes or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, after I flew from one wedding to another when we had like a 1-year-old, I wasn't getting any sleep. Do a better job being a personality, Carl.
Please, yeah. Who cares about sleep and all that?
Yeah. That's stinging hilarious. Yeah, that made me feel good inside. Like
I bet
a warm
it did.
fuzzy.
I could
I
tell.
spent time with somebody and they forgot about me. That's good.
Yeah.
That happened at church, like this old church we went to, where it was like every week we'd show up. They're like, "Hey, is this your first time?" I was like, "I gotta stop coming here." Like we went there for years. Okay, anyway, that's not what this episode's about. It's not about how terrible I am at making an impression. But all right, what's a tip that like something that you took away from what they shared?
Yeah, so mine was the complainer question where we talked about, which I guess I screwed up the question, which we can talk about in a minute. But mine was...
We already talked about it. You already messed it up.
I know, I did. Mine was like, if you're tired, like how do you handle people that are just slowing down, complaining? And I don't know if like Huck answered it. It was more like let's just not invite those people. But what do you do on the trail? Like, they didn't really have an answer of like that.
Yeah.
Vince was more like, I just want to escape them. Like,
Right.
you either go before me or go after me, but I'm not going to still walk by you. We'll get to camp. We're both adults. But
Yeah.
I don't know, me and we've kind of had people like that where they kind of complain, and what do you do, you know?
Not for years. It's been a long time, but it has happened. And honestly, Derek and I have talked about this on the show before, and he had really a good answer where he was like, just you got to pull him aside, give him a little pep talk, and be like, hey, like let's calm down and let's reevaluate, and just like you're bringing the group down. I'll admit, I got upset on a trip at somebody who was on the trip. Like, I was heavily bothered by them. I wasn't bothered, but the trip was hard, but I wasn't bothered by the trip. I was bothered by a person who was behaving on the trip and who was just like jibber jabbering nonstop. And so I think I might have become that person who was just like kind of the morale killer. Not for very long. Like, it wasn't like the whole trip I was just kind of like bringing the group down. And Derek did pull me aside. He's like, calm down, buddy.
You had to have the pep talk. That sounds about right.
It was more just like, you need to apologize to this person, which is ironic because the person was like highly inappropriate. But for the sake of the group, you want to keep the morale up. And so I was willing to do whatever it took, right? So
that's a tough one.
And then afterwards, you're just like, we're not going to go backpacking together.
Yeah,
again.
that is a tough one.
So.
Like, how do you handle complainers? Because everyone's known to do it. I try to look positive, but you know, when you got people that are just downing the whole trip and everything's awful, it's like, you know, you can't wait for the trip to be over. It really ruins it for everyone. And if that's the you know, other people's first time experience in backpacking, and you got that, it's just not fun. So
so I like that, and I would be willing to do that. The only scenario I could even see where that would happen again is if you invite somebody and they're new, or you just hadn't met them before, and so you're bringing people together. Maybe it's a friend of a friend, and so it's not really on you. At that point, it's harder because you're not really close to that person, so it's kind of more on your buddy or your friend to kind of share with them. But it's been a while, for sure.
what was your takeaway?
Yeah, so the one that stood out to me the most, the one that was kind of the most memorable thought, I don't know if this is really a tip, but it was just that at one point Huck had brought so many clothes that he burned them in the fire to get rid of them. And I don't know what material he's talking about, if he's talking about something natural like cotton or wool, or if he's talking about something synthetic. But
I was thinking jeans, like he's burning like blue
really.
jeans. That's what came to mind.
Yeah, I'm just curious, if you're having a rough, I don't know where he was at, but if you're having a rough go on the trail and you really want to shed some weight and there's no really other option, how many of you folks out there are willing to burn your clothes? Who's willing to do that?
I think I'd start slipping clothes or like slipping weight into other people's packs before I do that.
If you're on YouTube, please share in the comments. Is this something that you find it like funny, something you consider, or are you like highly bothered or offended by this? I'm curious. So
I can tell you right now, we're going to have people that are highly upset by this, by the number of people that get mad when I like joked about spitting gum out on the trail. Burning clothes, I can't imagine.
That's fair. A lot of tips, and then we're going to have some, we got some bonus tips from these guys too, in the way of a trip planning series that's coming out next month. So we're going to be featuring that on our Patreon, where we've got 3 bonus episodes in a row, December, January, February, which are all about trip planning. They shared their best trip planning tips, so stay tuned for that. That's coming up. So, and you know what's else coming up on Patreon, by the way? Side note is,
what's that?
I think it's this week we're releasing where we're going on our Patreon trips for 2025.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's coming up too. Like this week, I think. Pretty sure. So anyway, as a side note.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, so Carl, like, how do you do that? You got to join Patreon, right? To figure out where we're going and be on a trip. And
Oh, yeah, to get the intel, for sure, yeah. Yeah, we got links in our show description if you want to join, if you want to be part of the Patreon family, either with those bonus episodes, which are going to be super helpful with trip planning tips, or if you just want to like physically go on a backpacking trip with us in 2025. I think we might have 3 options. We've only had 2 in the past.
3.
3.
And all we do is send you a quick questionnaire that's asked, do you complain or not? And you gotta check yes or no.
For non-complainers only. You don't have to be fast. Just can't complain about it. We have not had that issue, man. We've had the best people join us.
It's
on
been so much
They're
fun.
truly like, the best.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too, man. All right, we got weird backpacking skills trivia coming up right after this. The trail is calling your name. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Our good friend Rowan from Summit Strength can get you trail ready. Roan uses rock-solid evidence to design a specialized training program just for you. There are plenty of cookie-cutter programs out there that will get you only halfway up the mountain. Make it to your adventure summit with Summit Strength. The link to your success is always in our episode description, but you can check out all the information you need at summitstrength.com.au/online. It's time to be strong and pain-free for your next adventure. Weird Backpacking Skills Trivia is brought to you by Teton. Teton Gear. They are the budget-friendly, high-quality gear. And just quick update, we did giveaways back in November, and I still have yet to announce them. I'm just kind of waiting for folks who were so kind to leave reviews and not realizing that I could not respond to the reviews like on the Apple Podcast app. I need them to reach out a different way. So if you haven't done that yet, we'll probably announce, and I'll respond to everybody individually, whether it's on YouTube or through email here in a little bit. But we got a backpack coming your way. We got a tent. We got more to come. So thank you to Teton.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Number 1. What is the most efficient way to melt snow? A, crank up the stove on the highest setting. B, pack the snow down into the pot. C, add a little bit of water to the pot.
I was thinking like peeing on it would be one, but I guess that's not an option. That's what we do in northern Minnesota when I lived there.
Oh, man.
It's adding water. Yeah.
No, that would actually that is correct. Not to make it drinkable, of course,
Yeah.
but that would
That's the
fast.
fastest.
Although, is that faster than heating it up? Probably, because it's like immediate.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. I think adding water to it is the
Add a little
answer.
water?
Yeah.
All right, that is correct.
Yeah.
Number C. All right, well done. Number 2, in a wilderness fire setup, what do you light first? A, tinder, B, kindling, C, sticks, or D, pine cones?
Oh, say those again. Let's see. So I was waiting for the match.
No.
Like you like the
No,
match.
you gotta
first.
just pay attention
Oh
better.
gosh. Okay.
Just kidding. A, tinder, B, kindling, C, sticks, D, pine cones.
Tinder, kindling, pine cones. Wilderness setting. We usually go pine cones in this area first. It burns faster, longer. Tinder you can do because it's finer if that's available. But it depends on the setting. Like I would light a pine cone. We use those to start our fires here in Northern Cal. So
So from match or lighter, you can get a pine cone going.
yeah, they burn pretty good, Carl. Pretty
Okay.
good actually.
That's
So-
not what I was. Typically, people burn tinder first.
right. Well, that's
But
what I said.
I don't
But
know your area, so maybe you have more flammable pine cones there. I don't know.
yeah, Tinder you gotta prep. It's not just like getting grass and stuff. You're maybe
Yeah, but it
shaving
doesn't ask about prepping. It's about just what do you light first.
Yeah, I would light the pine cone first, but that's just
Okay,
my experience.
you have better pine cones because mine here in Colorado, a lot of them don't even really. They get consumed by the fire, but they're not like helping to keep the fire going in any stretch.
Oh yeah, they burn longer than Tinder. So just fun fact, we usually
No, yeah. If they're actually burning,
Burning.
mine again don't burn. They just get consumed. Yeah.
Fly on
These
out
have
here,
different
bring a pine cone
pine
out to me, and let's do a side by side comparison.
We tried to do a pine cone experiment on the backpack trip last summer with Derek, where
Yeah.
I tried to challenge him to dig a 6-inch cat hole with a pine cone, like he's been talking about for years, and I could not get him to do that. So I'm a little down on the pine cones. just
All right,
saying.
All
right.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll mail
Just
you.
send me a pine
Yeah.
cone. All right, with invasive species in it. Yeah, for sure, that'd be great. All right, number 3, who popularized wilderness survival TV shows? A, Les Stroud. B, Bear Grylls. C, Cody Lundeen. Or D, Brooke Whipple.
Oh, well, my preference is Bear Grylls because I feel like he did it way more, and everything's Bear Grylls. You don't see Les Stroud
It's
really
not
anymore.
a preference question. This is an actual.
Well, that's who I would go with. I think Les Stroud was out first.
He was.
and did it, but Bear Grylls really ignited it and has sustained it. So I'm gonna go Bear Grylls.
Again, didn't ask about who was the most popular or who sustained it. It was the one that popularized it. So it started.
And that was
this
Bear
whole
Grylls.
process.
Yeah, Bear
That was
Grylls
Les Stroud,
popularized.
so you're wrong.
No, that is not right. Bear Grylls popularized it.
He's more popular. He's more popular. More well known.
Yes, that's the answer to the question. He's more popular. So didn't he popularize it or not?
He sustained it. He stood on the shoulders of Les Stroud and made it even bigger and
You
more
literally
impressive.
said who popularized it, and then said
Les Stroud was the one that made it popular in the first place. And then Bear
Oh, my
Grylls
gosh.
added the kindling and all your Northern California pine cones to the fire.
right. So he made it popular.
He made it more popular.
No, he made it popular. Les Stroud didn't make it popular. He just was doing it.
Okay.
Oh
you already
my
passed trivia, so this is like
Okay.
a moot point here, but whatever. You could be right, but all right. Hey, if you're tuned in, who's right? Is it Les Stroud or Bear Grylls? What do you guys think? So please give us feedback. All right. I got a few tidbits here.
Okay.
So you ready for the worst interview question of all time?
Oh, let's go.
Okay. Here we go. This is from our last episode from Dan Durston. Your first question.
All right, what's your craziest backpacking experience? If you can keep it like kind of short, we can't go the whole podcast, but
That's my opinion, Ben. What do you think about that?
I think you're wrong. I think you're up. I think you're up in
Could
my
you ask
head.
it any worse?
Yeah, well, I could have, but
I don't think so. I
Same
don't
thing
think
with the
so.
complainer question is like you have these set questions, and you're like, Ben, we got to make sure your intro question, you put parameters around there. Like you got to make sure that's a
shouldn't
quick
have
question.
to.
It's a quick
why are
question.
there parameters?
They
'Cause
can't
you
just
wreck the
like
question.
ask 5 questions. They have to just do like quick, like couple minutes, spend a minute on it. And so I was just preferencing like, Dan, I like you, but Carl, he thinks you talk a lot, and so now you need to just make sure.
I don't think you talk a lot. That's incorrect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
So-
that was such a bad question. You're telling him to not take all day with the first question, and you're scolding him about it ahead
Yeah.
of time, and you just met the guy. You have no idea if it's gonna take a long time or not. He might give you like a 1-word answer.
Yeah, I've learned from you. Like, just scold people
Oh
in the
my
middle of
gosh.
an interview. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. If you have the report, you didn't even know the guy.
Well, he
my
was
gosh.
trying to create controversy on us. It was pretty good. So yeah, what
Okay.
a
Well,
fun guy.
I don't
he
know
was.
who
Yeah.
we're gonna have on next after this episode. I don't know who our next guest is, but whoever it is,
Everybody's so scared to be on with us now.
just ask the question. Okay. We got some new reviews here on the podcast, Apple Podcast. Some of them were specifically to enter to, for all the Teton gear giveaway stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we had an interesting one.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we got to give shout outs to Carter's Mission, to Cortez HH, to Cooper Alicia, and to Mogi 4423. So those are the recent ones. So please reach out. Let us, if you haven't already done so, please reach out. We got something coming for you in the mail. But we had a recent one. Did you check this out? I think this is from a couple days ago from Kato.
I didn't.
It's called Like Hanging with Your Hiking
Cool.
Pals, which is what we're shooting for. This one had an interesting comment.
Okay.
It's a great mix of comedy with useful discussion about what's helpful on the trail. Carl and Ben, and then in parentheses it says, and occasionally Derek, provide great doses of insights and all sorts of nice things that they said. But like that's what it's come to is now just occasionally Derek when we have those like Throwback Thursday episodes. Yeah.
Throwbacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sweet.
Derek's coming back, folks. I don't know when. He literally
come.
texted me while we're recording, so I have to find out what that's all about later. But anyway, thank you, and please
Yeah.
reach out. Let us know who you are. Happy to send something your way. Okay, last thing I got is we have a bonus skill tip from our good buddy Rocky, and we got that after we close out. So that's all for me. Ben, you got anything else?
No. Just remember, if you're not listening to advice, you're not listening at all.
Have a great week, and God bless.
Yo, B&B, it's Rock, and I've got to say, there you've heard tons of tips on backpacking all through the years of your backpacking excursions, all you veterans of the trail and new people to the trail, and you've gotten some top-notch tips from Carl and from Ben today. But I've got to tell you that there's one tip above all that's the most important. And then there's a second tip that should not go unnoticed. And I actually am going to probably put this one at number 2. Here's number 1. Number 1 is this: pray. I don't know how many times I've woken up in the day and gone, man, where did the last half hour go? And who's there to answer that question but me? And I have no idea where it went. Probably went to me packing unnecessary stuff that I don't even need, So I'm already slowing myself down before the day even starts. So the number one tip is pray, because when you pray, you're like, hey, Lord, where did that last half hour go? And he goes, it went to you eating when you shouldn't have been eating. It went to you talking to people when you shouldn't have been talking to them and packing instead. You get definite answers from him. Pray, talk to him. Here's the second tip. Eat a big old chunk of sausage before you start your trip. Period.